And welcome back to another video. Today we're going over securing a database and creating users with different permissions. I'm gonna leave the different permissions on the next video just because it's a little bit longer. So for creating users, so Postgres, if you don't know the basics of Postgres, it's just a software that lets you save data in a certain way, and it also has separate functionalities. One of them is creating users with passwords that can access certain data while others can't. Now, the reason we create different users is because usually you'll have a backend that interacts with the database, and you don't want the user that the backend uses to interact with the database to have full access over the whole database, because then you can delete databases, and if somebody hacks into it, well, that's not a good thing. Now, obviously, when someone hacks into it, they'll be able to update all the data and mess around with everything, but that's, again, one of the reasons why we give limited access to certain users. So first, let's log into or sign into or get into our database. We're just gonna do PostgreSQL, PSQL, Postgres. And if we do du, /du, this is the current user. I only have one user, and you will also have only one user on a fresh installation. And the username or the role name would be the same name as your system's root user. So my max user is called RHXRR, and so therefore Postgres, when I first installed it, the user was created under that same name as my Mac. And so that's why you see the name there. Now if I do /l, this will show me all the databases and their configuration. As you could see, Postgres has no users under the access privilege right here. However, the root user does have access, since in the list of roles under the attributes, it's a super user. So it has access to everything. It can create users, delete users, create databases, the whole thing. All right, so it's full control, full access. So now to create, also one point is if you do have here something, that is okay. I did create this manually, but for you on a fresh installation, Postgres might give the same rights here to Postgres, which is fine, don't stress it. Now to create a new user, simply all we gotta do is create user and the name here. I'm gonna name it admin and then press enter. Now as you can see, it says create role. However, this creates a new user with the name provided, but it doesn't give them a password. So just about anyone can log into this user. To give it a password, you can either set a password from the start using the same command. However, we do with password, and then here you'd put whatever password you like. But obviously we just created the user. So what we'll do is we will go to the beginning, and instead of create, we do alter. And then the same user, the name of the user with password, and here you want to put your password. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you press enter, and as you can see, it will alter it. Now if we do /du, we will see the new user created. As you can see, they have no attributes though. This is because fresh users are created with no privileges at all, so they can't access or alter anything. To give them privileges to create databases or as a super user, you can just type in, well, alter, role, the name of the user, which is admin, not all caps, so that would be admin, and then with, and then you want to give them whatever role you want. You can do super user, and then obviously your colon. You could do create DB, which is give them ability to create a database, and this will obviously give them. Now we're going to be using admin for our backend and server, so obviously we don't want to give them the right to delete or create databases. We don't want to give them the right to obviously be a super user. The only right we want to give them is to update a table, alter a table, delete some rows from a table. And so we will be going over that in the next video. And so now let's exit our database. I'm going to clear this. And now let's log into our database as the new user, which is admin. And so now PSQL. There is a couple tags that you would use. So remember earlier we did this to log in. This will automatically log you in as your root user. But if you want to choose a different user, you'll do PSQL, the flag -d, and then now you put the name of the database you want to connect to. Now, obviously, the database I want to connect to is Postgres. And then you do -u and the name of the user you want to log in as. And there you go, we do admin. There is other flags. For example, if you're hosting this on a server, you do -h and the URL for that server. In our case, it's localhost because it's on the Mac we're using that we're trying to log into from. There's other things like if you're running your server on a different port, you would do -p. The standard is 5432. That's the default Postgres uses. However, yours could be different. Do you need these? No, because it's localhost. Postgres just uses, you could do just this, and Postgres already will default to localhost and 5432. And so now when I press enter, as you can see, I logged in right away. Now if I do -l, -tu, same thing, nothing has changed. If I do select current user, it shows admin, but we didn't use a password to log into admin, but I am as admin as the current user. So this is because Postgres will check if, so the system I'm on right now is obviously RHXRR, which is also the super user in Postgres. So Postgres will check, is the system user has super user privilege. Now, obviously, RHXRR is the current system, and it is also a super user on Postgres. And so Postgres will allow me to connect to any user without asking for a password, just because, well, the system I'm using is the super user. So obviously, I can get into the database without using a password for admin, because I can get into the database with the super user anyway by doing, obviously, PSQL Postgres. So if I can get into it as a super user, why do I need a password to get into it as an admin? And so that's why it will let you get into any user without a password. Now that's it for today's video. On the next video, we will be creating a database cluster. We will be setting the right privilege for this admin user that we just created. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.